Welcome to Kelly Reed's Midnight Sun. This is chapter 3. Previously on Midnight Sun, we had Edward nearly murdering a room full of children, running away to Alaska because he was deeply upset with himself. Then immediately returning back to Forks, Washington. We learned that cafeterias have wind. I hope you're ready for chapter 3. I think this is the chapter where Bella almost gets hit by a van. So good times. Hopefully the cicadas aren't too bad for ya. They're having the time of their life. So it's time for us to get a crack clacking. Edward and Carlisle are in the forest hunting. But of course, we just kind of go back to Edward flashing back to when he told Carlisle that he was leaving. This was at the end of chapter 1. He freaks out that he nearly couldn't resist Bella's blood, and he decides before he leaves he's going to tell his vampire daddy about it. And it recalls the whole conversation, which wasn't really necessary, and also so unsatisfying. I don't know why Edward did not give more detail. I don't know why Carlisle didn't ask for it. Here's literally the exchange. Edward? I have to go, Carlisle. I have to go now. What's happened? Nothing. Yet. But it will if I stay. I don't understand. Has there ever been a time? Has any one person ever smelled better to you than the rest of them? Much better? Oh, do what you must to resist, son. I will miss you. Here, take my car. The tank is full. No conversation of where he'll go, which person it was. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't care if I'm an immortal being. In fact, probably if I had super strength immortal children, I'd probably be more concerned, not less concerned. I'd be like, whoa, buddy. I have some questions that you need to sit your ass down and answer. Wait, but Edward has a Volvo. Why wouldn't he just take his own car? It's not like a horse where, like, after a certain distance you need a new horse, or else you're gonna just kill the horse. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm spending more time on this conversation than I think Stephanie did writing it. Let's move on. Edward recalls this eloquent, this deep conversation. And Carlisle's like, dude, why'd you come back? Why are you staying? Is it out of pride? Is it because you would be lonely and not have anywhere else to go? He's like, dude, we would totally come with you. Like, it's happened before with the others. It's fine. We could all just pick up and move. Which would be the choice. That would be the smart choice that no one takes, but it is right there. Just laid on the table. Like, hey, here's a reasonable thing we could do. Edward's like, I really should leave. And I can't really explain why I want to stay. And he's like, I know it's kind of unfair, because I get privacy in this and you guys don't, because I just get to read your minds whenever I feel like it. And Carlisle's like, oh, well, we all have our quirks. And then they go towards eating a herd of deer. Edward is contemplating the decision of just leaving, as Carlisle suggested. He's like, dude, it's a year or two, and then she'll like move, she'll go to like college or whatever, and you can come back and it's no big deal. And Edward's like, yeah, that is what I should do. It was just a year or two, and then the girl would disappear. She would go on with her life. She would have a life to go on with. She would go to college somewhere, start a career, perhaps marry someone. I could picture that. I could see the girl dressed all in white and walking at a measured pace, her arm through her father's. It was odd, the pain that image caused me. My dude, stop. All you know about her is she does not like cold or rainy weather. She smells real good. She is in Forks even though she don't want to be. And she cares more about her mom's happiness than her own. That's all no. Come on. No, I don't believe this. This is so silly. No. So Edward decides he's going to just see her one more time. He's going to go to school today, maybe even like leave some breadcrumbs of like whatever story the family's going to have to tell about why he just suddenly disappeared. But then he goes inside and encounters Alice, and she's like, "You're leaving again." She's like, "I can't see where you're going." And he's like, "Yeah, that's because I have no fucking idea where." And she's like, "You should stay." Like, and it like, kind of guilt trips him, being like, Esme, who's like the mom figure, will miss you. But then it's immediately like, hey, me and like Jasper can come. And he's and he's like, so you would take more of her family further away from her? And then she has a vision, so he just watches her vision, but it's blurry. Which is the opposite of vision. A vision is sight. Vision is seeing. It's not almost seeing. Now is it? And she's like, "Yeah, your future's shifting so much I can hardly see anything." And they're just all blurry and vague. And it's just like, this is the most useless power ever. And to think that like she can't control when they come and go, that's gonna be so annoying. Can you imagine? Like you're in the middle of a test or you're in front of an important conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden your like eyes just glaze over. You're like, well, someone someday is gonna make a decision about something, but I don't know what. I get that like she wanted her to have this power, but not to reveal the whole plot away. But there had to have been a better way. This is absurd. Again, we have Alice's great visions that just saved the day, which is the vision came just a half a second before the reality of Tyler's van speeding through the parking lot about to crush Bella. Half a second! That is not enough notice for nearly anything. It's almost like you didn't need the vision if you just used your eyeballs and you were like, I can see where that's heading. Which Edward does. So he goes and zooms over to Bella to save her. I'm a little confused by the placement of things in this action sequence, but he goes and throws himself between the skidding van and the frozen girl, grabs her by the waist. In the 100th of a second between yanking her slight form out of the path of death and crashing to the ground with her in my arms, I was vividly aware of her fragile, breakable body. And then her head thumped on the ice, and he was worried that he just wrecked her himself. He hears the van behind them grating and squealing as it twisted around the iron body of Bella's truck. And so now it was coming towards her again. And oh gosh, I still can't, you know, we're round 2 of being crushed by Tyler's van. A bigger menace than James ever was, to be honest. So then this happens. A word I never said before in the presence of a lady slid between my clenched teeth. Like, I don't know how effectively you can say anything with your teeth being clenched. I love that she just leaves it to the reader to insert whatever word Edward says that he normally never says in front of a lady. So then he drops her, throws his hands out to catch the van. The force of it hurled me back into the car parked beside her truck, and its frame buckled behind his shoulders. The van swayed, balanced unstably on its 2 far tires, but Bella's legs are in the way. Like if he lets go of the van, then it'll just hit her legs. So then he goes, "Oh, for the love of all that was holy, would the catastrophes never end?" No, Edward. It's called a plot. It's going to continue to happen, my dude. In fact, this is the least of your worries. So then he like rocks the van away slightly so that he can like pull her and her legs away in time for the van to drop. And he does. He succeeds. Finds out Bella's just fine. Unfortunately, she totally noticed that he was not next to her 5 seconds ago and is now. And he's like, ah, crap. She had seen too much. He only planned to come for one day. Just one day. Can you imagine if he didn't come? I also love the fact that Bella only vaguely knows that Tyler's van is coming her way. And then because Edward's so freaking fast, like, she's just like, it was all a blur, but suddenly Edward was there and like pushed the truck away. And that's all you really get from her point of view because of the speed of things. And then in his, you got going on 4 pages of like every minute detail of like how he held her, how he touched the van, how he had to push the van again. Like it's just so much detail that doesn't really add anything to the story. Okay, so I love the fact that because Edward is with Bella, who, unlike most humans, pays attention, he's like mind reading the crowd and everyone's talking and excited and figuring out what's going on. And they just assume Edward must be next to Bella because it's the only obvious conclusion, even though they didn't see it before. He's like worried about the fact that the car behind them totally has like an imprint of his freaking shoulders because he just, you know, clutched back into it. But Bella's there, so he not only has to like sit and wait it out for like the EMTs and like emergency crew to like get enough of a wedge between the vehicles for them to get Bella and him out, but for everyone to be distracted enough for him to like touch up the dent in the fucking car with like the back of his foot. Like it literally is like, I used the moment of distraction to quietly rearrange the shape of the dent in the tan car with the back of my foot. I really want to know how that works. Like, I feel like, are you just kicking more dents? Like I don't possibly know what you're doing there because I don't think you can smooth it out. Yeah, I think you'd just be kicking more. But no one really has a reason to investigate. So I don't know if you have to do that great of a job. But yeah, I just love that that's where his mind goes. He's like, oh man, gotta erase the evidence. Ugh. I gotta sit and wait for these stupid humans to pull me out because I can't help them out, Eddie, because I'm already in deep trouble for using my vampiric powers. Okay, so here's an interesting development, something new from the original, as small as it is. Bella's dad, Charlie, is talking to her and is really worried. And Edward realizes that while he could still get some sense of mind reading Charlie, he wasn't able to do it as clearly as he could with others. So he says this: I had never spent much time around the town's police chief. I'd always taken him for a man of slow thought. Now I realize that I was the one who was slow. His thoughts were partially concealed, not absent. I can only make out the tenor, the tone of them. Okay, so it's almost a genetic thing then. That's curious. Curious. I wonder if Charlie became a vampire, if he would have an ability. Just Edward thought he was slow. The whole... Oh, and so then they all get to the hospital and Edward catches Carlisle up to speed on what's happened. But first, when Carlisle first sees Edward, he's like, oh my god, did you do something? Like, and then he's like, wait, I'm sorry I even thought that. Your eyes are still golden. So I do love in this world that no one can have a cheat day as a vampire. Like people would immediately know. It's like, you snacked on some human, didn't you? Didn't you? I know you did. I see your eyeballs. Interesting concept. So what's becoming very common in this retelling from Edward's point of view is that we're just getting the same kind of scenes, even just a little further removed, because Edward will just be in a different room listening to someone's thoughts as they are having a conversation with Bella. And it's like, I don't think that was the best strategy for telling the story, but here we are. So he's listening into Tyler's mind. Tyler's the van that nearly crushed Bella, and so Tyler and Bella are talking back and forth. He hears that Bella lies and says, oh, well, Edward was there, he pulled me out of the way, which we already know she doesn't believe. And he's like, oh, wow, she lied, but that makes me even want to go, you know, he hears her say, or she hears, blah, blah, blah. In Tyler's thoughts, he hears her say his name, Edward's name. And he's like, oh man, I want to go to her, but I know that's not smart. I need to just stay out here and be cool. And then 5 seconds later, Tyler thinks, oh, she hot. I should probably ask her out to make up for nearly accidentally manslaughtering her. And that's when Edward zooms in. He's like, oh, I need to get in there. Let me in, coach. He was out in the hall then, halfway to the emergency room, without thinking for 1 second about what I was doing. And then he's able to pull himself out of it and lean against a wall in a dark nook around the corner and get a grip on himself. Edward's talking to Carlisle and saying, hey, I think I'm gonna like quickly check up on her before you pop in, if that's okay. You know, smooth things over, you know, but really he just has the hots for Bella and wants to see her. As Carlisle's looking at the x-ray, he's like, look at all the healed contusions. How many times did her mom drop her? Can you see completely healed contusions on an x-ray? I feel like that should be a no. I'm no medical person, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna ask my stepmom, and editor Kelly will put it somewhere because I think this is interesting. Because I feel like if she got injured severely enough that even healed, there's like markers of it, that is insane. And they just discussed it. Like, yeah, I think she's just has really bad luck. Whatever. And I'm like, I think it's more than that. So he gets to the ER and finds that Tyler is mumbling under his breath, still apologizing. The girl is trying to escape his remorse by pretending to sleep. I don't know anyone, especially a high school boy, that like is still trying to apologize to an unconscious, like someone who he's talked to and like had conversations with and like seemed relatively fine, who's like taking a nap. Like, and I just can't imagine where he's like, I'm so sorry. No. Then Edward gets a little jelly because Carlisle can touch Bella, no problem. And he's like, ah, man, I wish I could touch her and know that I wouldn't like kill her. Can't believe it. Ugh. And then Carlisle essentially says like, hey, you're free to go, but you know, come back, you start feeling dizzy or not good, you should probably go home for the rest of the day. And she's like, I can't go back to school? What kid ends up in like a major accident? Like, oh shucks, but I really want to go back to school. And then come find out that like apparently most of the school seems to be in the waiting room. Definitely different than the movies, but okay, I get it's a small town, but I think they would still need to have folks in class, right? I don't think they would just allow the whole school to be there, first off, but also like this is truancy. Like, anyway, why am I trying to make sense of this? It's fine. Maybe this much the records. Those from a small town, let me know the accuracy of this. I have questions. Okay, so we're almost done with this chapter, and Bella pulls Edward aside for a little one-on-one chat because he had promised to tell her like the explanation of like how he was able to get to her so fast and like save both of them from being crushed. He's like, okay, I had a show to put on now. I knew the role I would play. I had the character down. I would be the villain. I would lie and ridicule and be cruel. And he kind of gaslights her. Yeah, like he knows his character well. He gaslights the ever-loving shit out of her, being like, you hit your head, you don't know what you're talking about. The classic, what do you want from me? What do you think happened? Using sarcasm. Why does it even matter? You know, all the stuff from the OG Twilight. But of course, the whole time he's having this conversation, he believes that this will be the last memory she ever has of him, that this is his farewell scene. He's totally determined for this to be like their last encounter. And we know it's not. So, yeah, there's not as much to this scene from this point of view, from Edward's point of view, because the only thing is like the weight of this being their last encounter, which is not even close to being the case. And even if we hadn't read Twilight, there's this much more of the book to go. So I think we can all safely say he doesn't do a very good job of that. And so she asks, why did you even bother saving me? And for the first time, he decides to give her the truth. I don't know. And then he just memorized her face and turns and walks away. As you do after saving someone's life and then gaslighting them about it. And that, my friends, is the end of chapter 3. Next time we will do chapter 4, Visions. Let me know how you're feeling about this series. I love to hear from you guys, and like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye!